watching Rootstv Nigeria. Welcome to another episode of Rootstv Exclusive. To discuss the activities of men of the Nigerian police force to safeguard lives and properties of citizens in Nigeria, I have the Deputy Commissioner of Police. He doubles as the spokesperson for the Nigerian police force. He is in person of Frank Omba. He will be sharing his thoughts on the Nigerian police force. Good to have you on the program.
Thank you.
Now to start with, given the recent arrest made on Operation Puff Adder, can you confirm that the Abuja Kaduna way is safe for motorists to use?
Yes, I can clearly say that Abuja Kaduna Express Road has been cleared, and today we can confidently say that that road is safe. You will recall that on the 5th of April 2019, the Inspector General of Police, IGP Mohammed Abubakar Adamu, did launch the now very famous and successful Operation Puff Adder. The launching took place at the major war theater, if I should use the word. The launching took place at Katari, one of the notorious areas where these bandits have been operating. From 5th April to date, we've been able to make lots of achievement. We've arrested over 2,175 kidnapped suspects, not just from Kaduna State, but also from other parts of the country, particularly in the northeast, the northwest, and the north central parts of the country. We've also been able to rescue a total of 63 persons unhurt, not just rescuing them, but rescuing them unhurt and alive from the den of the kidnappers. Out of these 63 persons, 4 of them were Chinese national. We've been able to recover lots of weapons. As a matter of fact, we recovered a total of 834 assorted weapons. Most of them are AK-47 rifles, but we also have in that category or in that mix other assault rifles like the Beretta rifles, the La rifles, and of course locally fabricated weapons. But of key importance to us is also the recovery of 2 rocket launchers. And if you understand the strength and the kind of damage a rocket launcher can do during an attack, you will understand the depth, the depth and the level of desperation by these criminals. It is also important to know that in the course of this operation, just within these 2 months of the launch of this operation, we've been able to dismantle an international arms smuggling syndicate. We currently have 4 of their key members in our net, and we're expanding that operation. From that single operation, we recovered 6,000 rounds of live AK-47 ammunition. That's huge. But in all, we recovered a total of 19,000, well over 19,000 rounds of live ammunition, assorted of different calibers. 19,000 rounds of live ammunition of different calibers. We are paying special attention on the moping of weapons. We are paying special attention on the dismantling of the arms smuggling syndicate, because we believe that these weapons are actually like oxygen for the kidnappers, for the bandits, and for all other persons that engage in violent crimes, including terror groups. Without the weapons, without the arms and ammunition, they become as weak and as vulnerable and easy to pick up like any other common crook on the street. And so we are determined to weaken them. We are determined not only to cut off the arms supply to them, we are determined to mop up every single weapon in their armory. We are determined to deplete their firing power, deplete their armory, and make the process of picking them up easier and less risky for our operatives. These are some of the achievements we've made within just the last 2 months of the launch of Operation Pofada. So for me, Operation Pofada has been a big success. Our determination today is to consolidate, or rather our vision and our goal today is to consolidate on the achievements we've made so far and ensure that we're able to build up on our successes.
Okay, which leads me to the second question. Is the evidence against suspects caught in Operation Pofada sufficient enough to secure their conviction?
My answer will be that I will not want to preempt trials. But for us, before we put up suspects before the media, we must have gotten to a point in our investigation where we are convinced that we have established what we call a prima facie evidence against the suspects, meaning we have sufficient evidence to actually take them before the courts of law. We have sufficient evidence to prosecute them. But incidentally, when it comes to the issue of conviction, that's entirely the job and the duty of the members of the judiciary. But fundamentally, before we go to court, we are convinced that we have sufficient evidence to actually prosecute them. And the fact speaks for itself. Nigerians can see the confessions by some of these bandits even before the media. Nigerians can see the recoveries. Nigerians can see the connection, the nexus between the suspects and the evidence. Nigerians can see the amount of work, the amount of diligent investigations we are carrying out, the amount of recoveries we are carrying out. And persons who are being rescued, for example, are attesting to the fact that they were indeed rescued from the hands of these heinous criminals. And they are all living witnesses to the good job we're doing. So for us, we're confident that lots and lots of these suspects will eventually be convicted in competent courts of law. Some of them have already been arraigned. Some will be arraigned as we tidy up our investigations. And it's a massive exercise going on. And we will not leave any space uncovered. We make sure we dot our I's, cross our T's, and ensure that we're able to carry out diligent prosecutions, just the same way we've been able to carry out diligent investigations. We will reduce the chances of any of our case being knocked out for want of evidential for want of evidence or for lack of diligent prosecution or for any other kind of technical reasons.
Okay, so far, how would you rate the operation on a scale of 1 to 10?
I think I will allow Nigerians to do the final rating, because policing is like every other service. The citizens are customers. The citizens are clients. The citizens are the consumers of our services. Nigerians know the situation on Abuja Kaduna Express Road before the launch of Operation Pofada. Nigerians, and even the members of the media, they've been reporting crime, they've been reporting the police, and they know the intensity, the depth of the coverage they've been having before the launch of Operation Pofada. Today, they know what they are reporting. The members of the fourth estate of the realm have got this special advantage of interacting with some of these suspects. So they can speak from the position of authority, from the position of privileged information. So I will allow the media, I will allow the members, I will allow Nigerian citizens, I will allow residents on on Abuja Kaduna Express Road. I will allow citizens in Kaduna State, in Niger State, and all the states, Kogi State, for example. I will allow them to be our judge.
Okay, now what are the reforms Nigerians should look forward to seeing under the leadership of IGP Adamu?
Fundamentally, the current Inspector General of Police, the 20th Indigenous Inspector General of Police, IGP Mohammed Abubakar Adamu, is looking at bequeathing to Nigerians a police force that will be people-friendly, a police force that will be citizen-oriented, a police force that will respect due process and respect the fundamental rights of all Nigerians. He intends to achieve this leveraging on intelligence-led policing, leveraging on a police force that is technologically driven, leveraging on the input of the citizens into the policing agenda. And that's why we're driving the concept of community policing very seriously. So for us, we don't just want to have an effective crime-fighting machinery, but we want to have a police force that is responsible and responsive, a police force that sees the citizens as its major, the welfare and well-being of the citizens as its major task, a police force that will be transparent and accountable to the yearning of Nigerians, a police force that will treat the citizens with maximum respect, a police force that will value the rights of the citizens. These are goals, these are the targets we are driving at, and we're confident that with the support of the federal government, with the support of the state governments, with the support of the people of Nigeria, we will get to our goals. We will attain or rather achieve our target goals.
Okay, the Inspector General of Police has been tasked to look at state and municipal reforms of SARS. Now, what is the IGP's vision in the light of all these happenings, findings in human rights, abuse and investigations?
I think you need to understand that after the National Human Rights Commission presented its report to the Commander-in-Chief and the President of this country, the President did give specific instructions, and a committee was set up to produce a white paper on that. The work of that committee is still ongoing. And so it will be rather too early and perhaps premature for me to speak on what the committee is doing. So I will just say, let's hold on. Let that committee finish, or when the committee might have finished its work, then I think that would be the right time for me to begin to speak on that.
All right, many have complained about police brutality, alleged assaults by some of your officers, and some Nigerians believe that the tips given by you to help them quell some abuses that might want to come forth cannot work. They believe it will not work. So what is the alternative approach?
Let me start by talking about the tips. The tips are just mere advice.
Okay. So
They are recommendations, and an advice, the essential character or characteristics of any piece of advice is the fact that you have a choice, either to take the advice or not to take the advice. So when the office of the first PRO or the first PRO acting as a citizen or a law enforcement officer who has got some insider understanding and knowledge of how system works opts or decides to give tips, those tips are mere advice. They are mere pieces of advice. And citizens are at liberty to either take them or turn them down. As a matter of fact, they are not they are not magical bands. Those tips are not magical bands that you just swipe on the air and all problems are solved. Those tips must be used in concert with other things. The reforms the police, the reforms the Nigerian police is carrying out, the training and retraining of personnel of the force, the massive reorientation going on across boards and across ranks and across the several police training institutions in the country. These are all the factors that are supposed to work hand in hand with some of those pieces of advice. And on the issue of police brutality or alleged police brutality, our approach has been very clear. The take of the IGP and my take on this is simple. Police officers are employed, trained, equipped, and paid from public coffers. They are employed to actually protect life and property. They are employed to stand in gap between dangers and the citizens. They are employed to defend the citizens, the weak from the strong, the innocent from those who are set out to deceive and exploit and oppress them. But the moment the police, therefore, it is clearly antithetical to the calling of a police officer to turn around to begin to be part of the problem of the citizens. A police officer is supposed to be part of the solutions for the citizens. Police officers are not expected to be part of the problems of the citizens. And that's why we take every case of brutality, every reported case of assault on the citizens by police officers very seriously. And you have seen us in the past where police officers, for example, misuses their weapons or misuses their firearm. We've been very, very swift in taking them into custody, investigating them, subjecting them to our internal disciplinary procedure, sometimes dismissing them outrightly, prosecuting them in regular courts of law, and in most cases, even going out to name and shame them publicly. So for us, we won't condone acts of indiscipline. We'll protect, we'll make sure that our officers and men respect the rights of citizens, just as we will also stand and defend our officers and men from abuses by unscrupulous citizens too, who might also want to attack them and inflict injuries on them without any form of justification whatsoever.
Okay, the search, you asked that citizens, you stated that citizens had the right to search a police officer before you can actually be arrested before the citizens. Do you think that is doable?
I think the problem is the misunderstanding of my recommendations or my advice. It is a global best practice that citizens, not just in Nigeria, but worldwide, have got the right to search police officers. But when we say citizens have got a right to search police officers, it's actually a general statement. And there are exceptions to every general rule. Perhaps what I would do quickly, using this platform you're giving me, is to state instances where citizens can search police officers and instances where it is not just practicable and safe to do so. Number one, if a police officer is on an operation on the road, carrying out the regular stop and search, for example, frisking vehicles, searching the boots of vehicles, you cannot insist that the police officer should, you cannot insist on searching the police officer before he searches you. If a police officer saw a suspected thief on the road or a suspected felon and gives the felon a hot chase and eventually catch up, and he eventually catches up with the felon, he has a right to search the felon instantly. There's no room for the felon or the suspected felon to say, oh, you want to search me, I want to search you first. Absolutely no. If a police officer is on patrol, or police officers are on patrol, and they sight a suspected criminal, and they give the criminal his chase, and the criminal probably runs into a warehouse, an office, a residence, and they follow up in hot pursuit into that building. There is no room for anybody to search them before they search the house or search the suspected criminal. If there is a riot and a police team is deployed to quell the riot, or combined teams of police personnel are deployed to quell the riot, and they arrive at the riot scene and they make arrests, and they want to search the suspected rioters to be sure that they're not carrying weapons or they're not carrying anything that they could use to harm themselves or harm others, they will not ask, you cannot ask to search them before they search you.